The Environmental Working Group has put out yet another report based on a study that they commissioned showing us that some of the most popular cereal brands in the United States are packed full of the Bayer Monsanto toxin called glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in their weed killer Roundup. Recently, over the last few months, there have been 3 different court cases in the state of California where the plaintiff has come in saying that exposure to Roundup's glyphosate caused my cancer. And in all 3 of those cases, when those arguments were made, when those lawyers went into court and showed the evidence, the jury sided with the plaintiff and against Bayer Monsanto. They have lost all 3 of the cases that have gone to trial because that jury was absolutely convinced based on the evidence that the glyphosate in Roundup manufactured by Monsanto caused these people's cancer. And now the Environmental Working Group is warning us for the umpteenth time now that this toxin is in our food. Here is what the study found. The 3 highest concentrations of glyphosate were found in Honey Nut Cheerios Medley Crunch, Cheerios Toasted Whole Grain Oat Cereal, and Nature Valley Crunchy Granola Bars. In addition to 17 other popular cereal brands, mostly made by General Mills, all packed full of glyphosate that may or may not cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I say may or may not cause because if you look at all of the independent studies on it, it says, yes, it does cause this. But if you look at ones funded by industry and people with a financial stake in this, they all say for some reason, no, it's totally safe. Don't worry about it. So in the trying to come up with a little fairness here, going to present both sides, even though one side is backed by corporate funded science, while the other is backed by independent people who have nothing to gain from it. I'm going to trust the people with nothing to gain. But here's the issue, and this is something, again, we have discussed countless times on this program here. Glyphosate doesn't wash off. It can't be cooked out. Once it's in the food, it's in the food. So when you see these companies that are using GMO crops, you also have to understand that they're genetically modified to be able to withstand Roundup. That's why GMOs exist in this country. We don't need them to be adapted to special kinds of soil because of harsh conditions. That's not what our GMOs are for. Our GMOs were designed to accept buckets and buckets of Roundup on them. That we now know, according to the independent studies, is definitely going to give you cancer. It might screw up your kidneys, your liver, your endocrine system. Hormones could damage fetuses. All sorts of things. And we're dumping it by the bucketful on all of our food. And once it's in there, it's in there. That's why we find it in the cereals. Found in the most popular beer and wine brands here in the United States. All because we're so reliant on those GMOs. Those Roundup Ready crops is actually what they used to be called before we switched to GMO. But we know what that means. And Bayer and Monsanto are already paying the price for it in these court cases. Yes, they're all going to be appealed, but the appeal's likely not going to have much effect on this. Not to mention the fact that once these food companies understand that people aren't going to be buying their products anymore because it's packed full of glyphosate, they're going to lose money. And so these food companies are also, eventually, I can promise you, going to have major lawsuits against Bayer Monsanto. The company better buckle up. Or better yet, open up your checkbook. Because there are millions upon millions of Americans who have been exposed to your poison even if they've never stepped foot outside before. Because it's in the food. Hell, sometimes it's in the water. It's in so many parts of our daily lives, even if we've done our best to avoid Roundup. So yeah, more lawsuits are on the way. And hopefully, if there is any justice in this country, those are going to end the same way for Monsanto as those first 3 lawsuits have. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.